Hey sweet friends, welcome to a new tutorial video. In this video, I am going to show you how I decorate a V-Bucks cookie for a Fortnite set. Now, if you're like me, you have no idea what that is, but you're just gonna have to take my word on it. It is a special thing for kids who play Fortnite. It's basically electronic money for them, I think. Now, all of the designs in this set will be available here on YouTube and on membership platforms, either here on YouTube or Patreon. I have already shown how I decorated the game controller here on YouTube, so you're more than welcome to find that video if you're interested in seeing how I decorated that. It will be linked in the description box below. But the other designs in this set are coming, so if you are still looking for one specific design in this set, just be sure to keep checking back in the coming days and weeks. Let's get going on this V-Bucks cookie. Welcome to Rock City Cookies, where we talk about all things cookies. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified when we upload a new video. Thanks for watching. Now, the benefit to doing a circle cookie like a coin is that most likely you already have a circle cookie cutter. And if you don't, let me tell you about where I get mine. I get mine on Amazon and they are relatively cheap for the amount of cookie cutters that you get. I will link it in the description box below, but it comes in a set of like multiple sizes of circles, which is fantastic because you will need all sorts of circles in your cookie decorating journey, and to have all different sizes and they all stack within itself. And it also has like a little tin that you can store all of them in. It's wonderful. And it's like $10 for all of them. Can't beat it. So I'll be sure and link mine in the description box below. They are metal cookie cutters. So just be sure when you're washing them that you're drying them really well so that they don't rust on you. But otherwise, love them. They're fantastic. So with this cookie cutter, I actually opted, because it's a coin, I didn't want it like overwhelming the set. So I opted for like the 3-inch circle here. Whereas most of my cookies are normally 3.5 inches. This one is about the 3-inch circumference, just because I didn't want it to be the biggest design because it's a coin. And I kind of wanted it to reflect that in its sizing. But I also didn't want to go too small that my client was getting a mini cookie when they didn't ask for a mini cookie. But all in all, it worked out great for this set. So just make sure that if your customer is fine with standard sizing, that you have cookies that are anywhere from 3 inches to 4 inches. Usually if I have 3-inch cookies, I make sure that I have more of the 3.5 or 4-inch cookies to kind of compensate for that smaller cookie. But if you are using all large cookies, also make sure that you're compensating on the other end and that you're charging your customer correctly, because you're using more dough, you're using more icing. So if you're using 4-inch cookies for all of your cookie designs, you might need to be charging that little extra bit for them. Me personally, I prefer to pretty much always buy the medium-sized cookie cutters, which are pretty much standard wide, like industry wide. They're going to be around 3.5 inches. All right, that being said, I'm going to make a circle within a circle on this cookie cutter. And circles are the devil, if you don't know. Circles are awful. It's really hard to get circles that are perfectly round. So I let that go a long time ago in my cookie journey. And for the most part, really, people are very forgiving. If you don't have perfect circle rings, they're going to be perfectly fine. They really don't care. So I do my best, and I do an outline of a circle and I do an inside of a circle. Now, to get that pattern of the inside circle, you can do a few things. You can get those cookie cutters that you already have and just get a smaller size and come through and kind of press down on your cookie just a little bit, just so that it gives you a pattern that you can follow to know where the inside line needs to be. Or you can get something like a cap from a jar or a small circle from something in your home and use that as a guide, and you can get your edible marker and trace around that, and that will also give you that circle that you can use as your icing guide. Now, I am going to use a line of like a scribble line in between my two icing lines to kind of give that flood, that icing flood, a little bit more stability, because it is a smaller area of my cookie and I don't want that area to divot or crater. I want it to keep flat and flush and kind of hold its puff. So I used a scribble line all the way throughout, and then I put my flood on top of it and I popped any air bubbles, and I'm going to let that completely dry before I move on to the next section, because I want that definition. I want the two circles to look individual. If you flood it right away, if you flood the two sections right away, it's all going to blend together and you're going to lose that definition. So make sure you at least have enough drying time in between the two sections that the icing doesn't run together. And the reason why I like my icing to dry pretty well all the way through before I pick pick it back up and flood a different section. It's just because if you move your icing too quickly, your icing can crack. So I just want to make sure that my icing is dry enough that I can move it back and forth off of my table without my icing cracking. Now I am going to do the intersection with a darker teal. So I did a lighter teal on the outside. I'm going to do a darker teal on the inside. And V-Bucks have a V on them. So listen, if you know nothing about what you're decorating for, here's the beauty of other cookie creators. You can go and look for inspiration from them and see what have they done when they've gotten Fortnite orders or whatever your theme is that you have no knowledge about. You can Google Fortnite graphics, Fortnite birthday parties. You can Google things like that, and you're able to also get an idea of what you need to be doing or what graphics or what things go along with whatever your theme is. Because trust me, sometimes you're going to get some weird themes, and a lot of times they're going to be something, movies and shows and books and things like that you have no knowledge of whatsoever, which is fine. But that's when you can rely heavily on other cookiers who have done it, have gone before you, they've paved the road before you, or also just other artists out there that have created the graphics, that have created birthday party themes, that have done all of that, and you can kind of gain your inspiration from them. So I knew from doing that the V on the V-Bucks was the thing. So I made sure I just found the V that is used for V-Bucks. I saved that graphic and then I projected that onto this cookie. I'm going to use a thick outline and a thicker icing, and I'm going to make sure that I use my scribe tool, get out any air bubbles, really smooth out that V so that you have a really polished finish on that letter. And then I'm going to go back on the outside ring and I'm going to do some lines because again, that's part of that V-Buck graphic. It's a part of what makes it a V-Buck is it has outer decorations on the outside of the coin. So I'm just going to go through and I'm not going to project this. I'm just going to eyeball it and I'm just going to create those lines. Now they are a little bit on the thicker side. So I didn't want to use a thin icing. I wanted to use a thick icing, but I just doubled it up and then I used my scribe tool to kind of smooth it out. And there's 3 of these lines. So I just kind of eyeballed it and spaced it based on what I thought would give the same amount of space in between each line, but also the lines would be similar in their length. So again, if you don't feel confident in doing this, you can always just project your image and just use that as a guide for where they need to go, how long they need to be. But I felt pretty confident in my ability just to be able to eyeball this part. So after I have done all of that work on the top, I'm going to shake my cookie just a little bit. I may tap it just a little bit just to really help smooth out that icing. Do not do this if your flood is not completely dry. You can definitely cause damage to your cookie if your flood is not completely dry. But I knew mine was, and so it could handle that little extra rough treatment to kind of smooth out the icing. And that's it. Our V-Buck cookie is done. So we have done the game controller, we have done the V-Buck, so we still have several designs left in this set. So be on the lookout for that coming soon. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.